after my husband Jason's first love died in a car accident during her trip. Jason dragged me to our deaths together. If you hadn't made your parents force me to marry you, Jessica wouldn't have gone on that trip heartbroken. You killed her, you owe her your life. When I opened my eyes again, both Jason and I had returned to the day before his precious Jessica's trip. He stopped his beloved at the door, kissing her with desperate passion, while I voluntarily called off our engagement to study abroad. 5 years later, Jason attended my wedding. Seeing me in my wedding dress, the drunken heir to the young group reddened his eyes. This isn't the dress I chose for you. Take it off. Okay? Ivy. Let's die together. You killed Jessica, you owe her your life. The deafening crash of metal swallowed everything. I jolted upright in bed, drenched in cold sweat, my heart pounding violently against my ribs. The familiar cream-colored curtains, the gallery wall of framed paintings, this was my bedroom. How? Didn't Jason and I just plunge off that cliff? My trembling fingers touched dry cheeks, no blood. No tears. The relentless beating in my chest screamed that the death I'd just experienced was terrifyingly real. My phone buzzed urgently with messages from Vivian. Ivy! Check the news. What's wrong with Jason? You're engaged and he's kissing someone else. The final message contained a link. Hashtag young group airs morning passion with mystery woman hashtag trended at number 3. The photo showed crystal clear details, Jason clutching Jessica desperately outside her apartment. Their lips locked. His grip on her waist bone white. Damp lashes pressed closed. The telltale signs of overwhelming fear and reclaimed loss. In that moment, everything became clear. Jason and I had both been reborn, returned to this pivotal morning 2 months ago when Jessica was supposed to depart on her fateful trip. Staring at the lovers' entwined figures, I swallowed the bitter ache in my chest. Before 15, I'd known perfect happiness, doting parents, wealth, warmth. Then came the overseas business trip. The doomed flight that left me orphaned. Mr. and Mrs. Young, my parents' friends, became my guardians during my darkest hour. They handled the funeral arrangements, guided me through selling company stocks, securing a fortune that could last lifetimes. I moved into the Young's mansion, vast, opulent, freezing cold. The senior Youngs were always traveling, leaving just Jason, the housekeepers, and me. My first impression of Jason? Rebellious. Constant shouting matches with his parents. Slammed doors. Mrs. Young often tearfully squeezed my hand. If only RJ could be half as responsible as you. Grieving in mute with fresh loss. I withdrew completely. Yet it was Jason, that wild-eyed, defiant boy, who coaxed me from my shell. He introduced me to my new school. Stood cold-eyed between me and the classmate who sneered young family parasite after I rejected him. Back then, we were each other's sanctuary. He craved companionship, I clung to his protection. When did everything change? Perhaps that year I turned 22. The night I overheard Mr. and Mrs. Young talking in the study. The Young family's company was facing a major crisis, desperately needing a huge cash infusion. Mrs. Young sighed. If only Ivy's money could help. But how could we ever ask? Eventually, she came to me, clutching my hand with tear-reddened eyes. Ivy, I know this is too much to ask, but we're out of options. We want you to marry Jason. Then we'll be family, consider it a loan we'll repay with interest. And you'll own half the company. I've always wanted you as my daughter-in-law. I agreed. The Youngs had helped me before, and I couldn't watch their life's work collapse. Plus, I harbored a secret. I'd loved Jason since that afternoon he stood up for me. I thought maybe he felt the same. I made the Youngs promise not to tell Jason about the money arrangement. I didn't want him feeling obligated. When Jason found out, he stormed into my room like an enraged lion, eyes icy with contempt. Ivy, how could you agree to this farce? Are you that desperate for affection? I tried explaining, but his disgust silenced me. From that day, Jason changed. His warmth vanished, replaced by cruel words and deliberate indifference. Our engagement became his shackles, and I the jailer. I told Mrs. Young to cancel the engagement, offering the money freely. She refused, calling Jason foolish and insisting he's lucky to have me. He does love you, she claimed. He just enjoys rebelling. Her words gave me hope. Maybe his past kindness meant something. Reality shattered that illusion a week after our wedding. Jason took me to Jessica's grave, eyes bloodshot. I learned then about the girl he'd pursued for 3 years. Just as she was accepting his proposal, our engagement news arrived. Heartbroken, Jessica took a solo trip, straight into a landslide that killed everyone on her tour bus. Driving home through pouring rain, Jason suddenly swerved toward a bridge. If you hadn't made my parents force this marriage, Jessica would be alive. He hissed, hatred burning in his eyes. You killed her. Now pay with your life. He blamed me for his true love's death. In that moment, I released my seatbelt and closed my eyes. My phone vibrated. Mrs. Young calling. Ivy, don't be angry. I'll skin that wretched boy. Her fury crackled through the speaker. I felt strangely calm. Mrs. Young. I interrupted softly but firmly. Don't scold him. I've realized forced love never lasts. I'm calling off the marriage. But Ivy, Jason's just confused. When your father and I return from this business trip, Mrs. Young. I cut in gently. This isn't impulse. I used to believe persistence could win anything. But now I understand. And I'm exhausted. Jason has someone he loves. And I no longer want to be caught in the middle. As for the financial matters, please don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Young. I'm willing to provide that capital to Young Group interest-free as an investment. We can have lawyers work out the specifics. Ivy, you don't need to do this. We're not after your money. Mrs. Young's voice trembled with guilt. I know, Mrs. Young. You and Mr. Young have shown me immeasurable kindness. This is my choice. My tone remained calm. Please take care during your business trip. I hung up before she could respond. Opening my email, I stared at the acceptance letter from Y Country's top design institute, the dream I'd nurtured since childhood. I loved painting. Longed to leave my mark in this field. Last lifetime, I'd abandoned this opportunity for Jason. This time, I wouldn't make that mistake again. 15 days remained until orientation. My rebirth was beginning. The next day, I met my best friend Vivian at the study abroad agency to discuss overseas housing. She nearly jumped for joy when hearing my decision. Finally, when you turned down that acceptance for Jason last time, I almost ended our friendship. That trash doesn't deserve you sacrificing your future. I smiled without comment. Returning to Young family's estate that evening, I found Jason waiting in the living room. He looked up, brows furrowed. Saw the trending topic? I nodded. Yes. His trademark smirk appeared. Then you know what to do. I'll only marry Jessica in this lifetime. I know. I met his gaze steadily. I've already asked Mrs. Young to dissolve our engagement. Jason froze momentarily before scoffing. New manipulation tactic. Ivy? Playing hard to get? His phone rang. His expression softened impossibly as he answered. Jessica? I'm coming now. He stormed out without another glance. Mrs. Young called soon after. Furious. Ivy, is that brat home? He blocked our numbers. He left earlier. We're returning next week. She fumed. This engagement isn't over until we talk properly. That night, Jason returned with Jessica. He acted as if I were invisible, tenderly helping her with luggage. Jason, who's this? Jessica asked. Distant relative. He dismissed. Jessica smiled brightly. Hi. I'm Jessica. Ivy. Jason insists I stay here. She giggled, shooting him an affectionate look. So overprotective. I understood his fear of repeating past mistakes. His devotion pierced my heart like countless needles, not fatal, but relentlessly painful. Remembering how he dragged me to our deaths without hesitation last lifetime, icy numbness spread through my veins. It turned out that all those years we relied on each other for warmth had truly left no trace in his heart. That night, I woke up thirsty and went downstairs to the kitchen for water. Just as I finished drinking, a soft gasp came from the living room. I hurried over to find Jessica fallen on the floor. I helped her up. Are you okay? I'm fine. Thank you. Just missed a step. She leaned on my arm as she stood, expressing gratitude. As I was about to assist her to the couch, rapid footsteps echoed from the staircase. Jason stormed down like a hurricane, violently shoving me aside. Caught off guard, I crashed to the floor. The glass tumbler slipped from my hand, shattering into glittering shards. A sharp fragment pierced my palm, blood welling up as stinging pain radiated through my hand. Jessica stared at Jason in shock. Jason! What are you doing? He didn't even glance at me, cradling Jessica's face with trembling hands. He examined her anxiously. Jess, are you hurt? Did she push you? His voice dripped with frantic concern. Jessica shook her head urgently. I'm fine. I fell on my own. Ivy was helping me. Stop covering for her. Jason snapped, turning to glare at me with undisguised loathing. Ivy! I knew you'd pull something like this. I slowly rose from the floor, the physical pain in my palm paling against the icy blade twisting in my chest. So this was how he truly saw me, a scheming villainess. Jessica forcefully broke free from Jason's grip. Noticing my bleeding hand, she turned on Jason angrily. Are you hallucinating from binge watching soap operas? I told you I fell. Ivy was being kind. How could you accuse her like this? Jason's gaze flickered to my bloodied palm. His lips tightened, but he remained silent, ignoring Jessica's protests. He abruptly swept her into his arms and carried her upstairs, leaving me alone in the vast, frost-chilled living room. The next morning, Jessica sought me out with a first aid kit. Ivy, I'm so sorry about last night. Jason was just overreacting. I gave him an earful. I accepted the supplies with detached politeness. Thank you. It's fine. Jessica ended up staying at the Young family estate for nearly a week. As my departure date approached, Jason found increasingly creative excuses to prolong her visit. He flaunted their relationship openly in my presence, treating me like insignificant background decor. Unexpectedly, Mr. and Mrs. Young returned 2 days early. The moment they entered, they found Jason lounging on the sofa with Jessica. Mrs. Young's face darkened instantly. Brushing past Jessica's timid greeting, she confronted Jason. Jason! Do you even care about this family? About Ivy? How dare you bring some random woman home while your fiancé is right here? Jason shot me a venomous look instead of answering his mother. Ivy, is tattling to my parents your only move now? Mrs. Young's chest heaved with anger. Ivy never said a word. Don't you dare take your rebellion out on her. Jessica looked between them, bewildered. Mr. and Mrs. Young. What do you mean? What fiancé? Mr. Young stated coldly. Ivy is Jason's fiancé. All color drained from Jessica's face. She turned to Jason with trembling lips. Fiancé? You told me Ivy was your distant cousin. That the engagement was called off. You lied to me? I stepped forward before Jason could respond. Miss Smith. Please don't misunderstand. Jason and I grew up together. There's never been anything romantic between us, just familial bonds. The engagement was our parents' wishful thinking. Jason opposed it, and I've formally requested to dissolve the arrangement. Jessica couldn't accept it. Tears welled up in her eyes as she pushed Jason away and ran out of the Young family home. Jason tried to chase after her but was stopped by Mr. Young's sharp command. He turned his fury toward me. Ivy, are you happy now? If anything happens to Jess, I'll never forgive you. I met his gaze and repeated clearly, I told you I've already requested to cancel the engagement. Jason froze. Shock written across his face as if he'd never expected me to be so decisive. Mrs. Young watched him with weary disappointment. The reason I called was to tell you Ivy wants to call off the engagement and discuss it properly. But you? Ignored our calls. Blocked your own parents. Jason first looked stunned, then relieved, before retorting defiantly, good. I'd rather die than marry Ivy. You can't control me anymore. Mr. and Mrs. Young glanced at me. Seeing my calm expression, they sighed heavily. Do as you will. We can't manage you anymore. Mrs. Young finally gazed at him deeply. I hope you won't regret this. Regret? Jason sneered. Only if I die. That night, as I prepared for bed, knocks sounded at my door. Jason stood outside without entering, studying me with conflicted intensity. He whispered, Ivy, have you also come back? My heart clenched, but I avoided direct confirmation. Looking down at my bandaged hand, I murmured, it hurt too much. I won't go through that again. Complex emotions flickered across his face. He understood my meaning. After several silent seconds, his mask of indifference returned. You'd better keep your word. When I awoke next morning, Jason had already left. By afternoon, his social media feed updated with a tight embrace photo of him and Jessica. Captioned, the only one. Mutual friends exploded in comments. Wait, weren't you engaged to Ivy? Jason replied publicly, never happening. Stop spreading lies. Mrs. Young stared at her phone, then looked at me apologetically. Ivy, we've wronged you. I shook my head sincerely. Really? It's okay. Seizing the moment, I revealed my plans to study abroad. Mr. Young frowned. So suddenly? A foreign country alone, it's dangerous. I stood firm. I need to grow beyond my parents' protection. This design program is my dream. Seeing my resolve, they reluctantly agreed. When do you leave? Mrs. Young asked. Next week. So soon? Why didn't you tell us earlier? I wanted everything settled first. Mr. Young hesitated. Should we inform Jason? I answered calmly, unnecessary. In the following days, Jason left early and returned late, consumed with making up lost time with Jessica. I focused on final preparations. We never crossed paths again until 2 days before my flight. Jason's name flashed on my phone. After hesitating, I answered. His voice shook with unprecedented panic. Ivy. Jess was in a car accident. She's lost too much blood. You're both Rh-negative AB type. Come save her. My heart plummeted. Car accident. Past and present visions overlapped brutally. A surge of indescribable bitterness rose in my chest. But I quickly suppressed it. After a week of interaction, I could tell Jessica was a wonderful person. This blood transfusion would serve as repayment for that life debt, finally severing the toxic connection between Jason and me. Fine. Send me the address. I'll be right there. When the nurse drew my blood, Jason stood nearby, lips pressed tight, his gaze fixed on the operating room doors. The moment I stood up after donating, darkness swallowed my vision and I lost consciousness. I awoke to find myself receiving 4 fluids in a hospital bed. In the adjacent bed, Jessica was already awake. Jason sat by her side, carefully feeding her sips of water with soft words and undivided attention. He didn't even notice I'd woken up. A faint ache flickered through me, then dissolved into acceptance. This was better. Now I owed them nothing. At Jessica's reminder, Jason finally approached me. "Thank you for this," he said, his tone uncharacteristically gentle. After a pause, he added, "We can still be friends. Like before." I met his gaze with a quiet smile. "That's unnecessary, Jason. Let's be strangers from now on." He froze, conflicting emotions swirling in his eyes before he wordlessly returned to Jessica's bedside. That afternoon, I insisted on being discharged. Mr. and Mrs. Young arrived to take me back to the Young family home. The next morning, they accompanied me to the airport, repeatedly urging me to take care of myself and promising to visit. I nodded obediently, hugging them goodbye. As the plane ascended, I gazed out the window with a serene smile. My new life was finally beginning. Meanwhile at the hospital, Jason's eyelids suddenly twitched violently as inexplicable panic gripped him. While peeling an apple for Jessica, she asked abruptly, "Jason, are you sure you never had feelings for Ivy?" "Don't be ridiculous," he snapped, setting down the fruit knife. "Rest well. I'm going home for fresh clothes." Jessica watched him leave silently, recalling how she'd actually regained consciousness earlier yesterday. She'd seen Jason watching the unconscious Ivy with concern and something else she couldn't decipher. She chose not to mention it. Love made everyone selfish. Though grateful for the blood donation, her own feelings for Jason ran deep. Returning home to find his parents absent, Jason was informed by the housekeeper. They went to see Miss Off. See who off? Miss Ivy left to study abroad. Jason's face paled. In the previous lifetime, Ivy had never gone overseas. Frantically dialing her number only to get voicemail, he called his mother for the first time voluntarily. Voice strained, "Did Ivy really leave the country?" When confirmed, Mrs. Young retorted, "Why? Regrets now?" "Of course not. Good riddance." He slammed the phone down, trying to ignore the suffocating unease coiling in his chest. This was better, he told himself repeatedly. Without Ivy around, he could finally control his own life. My first weeks in Y country brought challenges. Unfamiliar climate and bland local cuisine intensified homesickness. After a month of enduring tasteless meals, I finally snapped. My first cooking attempt triggered smoke alarms, bringing fire trucks wailing to my doorstep. The firefighters confirmed it was a false alarm, reminded me to be more careful next time, and left after collecting their service fee. This commotion alerted my neighbors. It was my first time meeting Simon Harris. He was completely different from Jason. Jason was unruly and aggressive, while Simon wore gold-rimmed glasses with gentle, refined manners. He proactively inquired about the situation and patiently showed me authentic Chinese restaurants nearby, teaching me how to avoid triggering smoke alarms while cooking. That evening, I had dinner at his place, a simple plate of egg fried rice that warmed me to the core. We discovered during conversation that we both came from Jincheng. He'd graduated from F University right next to my alma mater. This serendipity in a foreign land quickly bridged our connection. We became friends who explored the city together during free periods, with him introducing me to other Chinese students. Simon's thoughtful nature and measured composure helped me build a fulfilling life abroad, filled with academic achievements and genuine friendships. Jason's occasional messages about his relationship with Jessica and later probing questions about my location became something I chose to ignore. 3 years of study flew by. After gaining design experience in country Y, I accepted an offer from a top domestic firm while planning my wedding. Simon and I had grown together through countless quiet moments, his midnight snacks during late work sessions, shared laughter over cultural mishaps, and unwavering support that healed old wounds. While packing to return home, he found my teenage sketchbook containing Jason's portraits. "The past stays buried," he said, clasping my hand. "Your future belongs with me." At the airport, Mr. and Mrs. Young smiled seeing us together. They'd respected my privacy all these years, never revealing my whereabouts to Jason. Mrs. Young had actually encouraged me to pursue Simon, though he beat me to the confession. Their homecoming feast was interrupted when Jason burst through the door, sweat-drenched and frantic. Mrs. Young frowned. "You finally decided to come back." Jason ignored her and strode up to me, gripping my shoulders with force. "Where have you been these 5 years? Why didn't you answer my messages?" I winced at the pain. Mr. Young immediately stood to pull him away. "Jason, watch your tone." Jason shoved his father's hand away, sneering. "No one taught me manners." Mr. Young's face flushed with anger. I rose calmly. "My affairs are none of your concern." His temper flared. "Think you're better than me after studying abroad? How dare you speak to me like this?" Losing my appetite, I addressed the elders. "I'm finished eating. Excuse me." Dragging my suitcase upstairs, I heard Jason's footsteps following. He barged into my room as I opened the door, pinning me against the wall. "Why didn't you tell me about leaving the country?" "Didn't need to." He barked a humorless laugh. "After being married for a lifetime, you're this heartless? That's over." I pushed against his chest. "Stop bringing up past lives." His eyes darkened as he trapped my wrists. "Why should I? The pain you caused me still burns. I stepped aside this lifetime for you and Jessica. What more do you want?" He froze, then suddenly crushed his lips toward mine. My struggles proved futile until Mr. Young's roar echoed through the room. "Jason! Stop this instant!" Mrs. Young followed, admonishing gently. "Ivy's getting married soon. Leave her alone." Jason whipped his head toward me. "You're getting married?" Adjusting my collar, I nodded. "Impossible," he growled. Mr. Young shoved him out. "Believe what you want. Get to your room." That night, I called Simon about finding an apartment. He asked no questions, securing a place by next afternoon. When he came to help me move, the Youngs didn't interfere though Mrs. Young teared up. "We barely reunited. I'll visit often." I promised. Simon smoothly added, "My parents will visit soon to discuss wedding plans." Jason emerged just as Simon's arm settled around my waist. With feral rage, Jason shoved Simon to the ground. "Jason!" I rushed to help Simon, fury rising at his scraped palms. Slapping Jason's face shocked everyone present. I'd never raised my voice in 20 years, let alone hands. "You hit me for him?" Jason clutched his cheek. "He's not him." I shielded Simon. "Touch him again, and I won't hold back." Ignoring his grim expression, I took Simon's hand and bid farewell to Mr. and Mrs. Young before leaving the Young family residence. In the car heading to my new home, I massaged Simon's swollen hand while briefly explaining my history with Jason, carefully omitting the reincarnation aspect as it sounded too fantastical. He listened quietly before pulling me into a heartfelt embrace. "From now on, you'll have my love," he murmured, to express gratitude after settling in. I treated him to hot pot. During our post-dinner stroll, we encountered Jessica with an unfamiliar gentleman. After exchanging greetings, Jessica introduced her boyfriend. My surprise must have shown because she chuckled. "We broke up years ago." We exchanged contact information. When Simon walked me home later, He pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead at the doorstep. That night, Jessica's message lit up my phone. Coffee tomorrow? At the cafe the next day, Jessica stirred her latte absently. Jason and I split 2 years after you left for abroad. She revealed. He never stopped loving you. When I protested, she continued. We met hiking a year before you knew him. That whole 3-year crush story? Pure fabrication. Her spoon clinked against the porcelain. After your blood donation incident, I noticed his special attention toward you. Even when we dated, he'd call your name when drunk. She smiled ruefully. Turns out I was just his rebellion against parental control. I slapped him and walked away, no settling for half-hearted love. Changing subjects. She nodded at my left hand. Simon makes you happy. Blissfully. I confirmed. Her gaze turned serious. Had I told you Jason's feelings back at the hospital? Would you have stayed? Never. I answered without hesitation. 2 days later, our families convened at a hotel. With my parents deceased, Mr. and Mrs. Young stood as my guardians. We set the wedding for early next month. Afterwards, I took Simon to the cemetery. I've found real happiness. I whispered to the headstones. Simon's arm tightened around me. I'll cherish Ivy forever, he vowed. That evening, Mrs. Young called anxiously. Jason's disappeared since your move. After reassuring her, I texted Jason, act your age. Stop worrying your parents. My wedding day arrived. In the bridal suite, I adjusted my veil as the door burst open. Jason staggered and reeking of alcohol. His eyes bloodshot as they fixed on my wedding gown. This isn't the one I chose for you. Change it, please? He slurred. I frowned. Jason, what's the point of this? He lunged forward, grabbing my wrist with liquor-tainted breath. I was wrong. After you left, I dreamt every night about how we used to rely on each other. I do love you, I just hated being controlled. You were supposed to marry me in our previous life. Why did everything change? I struggled to free myself. Jason, I let you go in this lifetime. You're with Jessica now. And I've found my happiness. Why can't you move on? You're still angry, aren't you? He shook his head stubbornly. You love me. Come home with me. He started dragging me toward the door. Let her go. Simon's voice cut through the tension. Seeing my reddened wrist, his eyes turned icy. He knocked Jason to the ground with a single punch. Are you hurt? Simon shielded me behind him. As Jason scrambled up, he pointed accusingly at Simon. What right do you have to marry Ivy? I was there during her hardest times. Our engagement came first. Simon's voice chilled. If the first hadn't taken things for granted, there'd be no opportunity for the next. Mr. Young eventually arrived to drag his disheveled son away. The ceremony proceeded smoothly despite the disruption. Under loved ones' blessings, Simon and I exchanged vows and rings. After most guests departed, I retreated to our lavishly decorated suite where Mrs. Young soon appeared. She produced a thick document from her handbag, eyes glistening. Ivy, this card repays our loan with interest. Her finger trembled over another paper. And this transfers 10% of Young Group shares to you. It's our gratitude for helping during our darkest hour. I pushed the folder back. Mrs. Young, please. You gave me a home when I was 15. I owe you everything. She insisted through tears. You earned this. After composing herself, she added guiltily. About today, I gently interrupted. It's over. But we failed both you and Jay. She wept. Our neglect made him resentful. He's lashing out at you instead of us. I squeezed her hand wordlessly. As I settled into my new role at the company, Jason began haunting my workplace, lingering silently outside or attempting conversations. Simon frequently chased him off, but he kept returning. My friend Vivian observed his pathetic persistence and snorted. Men only appreciate what they've lost. During one date with Simon, Jason's constant shadowing finally snapped my patience. When I requested a meeting, his voice lit up with hope. He arrived bearing a homemade cake, his old apology gesture from better days. Abandoned during our engagement feud. Staring at that familiar cake, I felt nothing but weary resignation. With a soft sigh, I cut straight to the point. Jason, you need to let yourself go. The eager light in his eyes froze instantly. His eyelids flushed red as he stubbornly shook his head. Ivy, are you still blaming me? His voice cracked. For making you die with me in our previous life? The words caught in his throat, leaving only broken repetitions of I'm sorry and I regretted it the moment our car went over that cliff. Enough about past lives. My sharp interruption sliced through his apologies. Jason, living in the past will only destroy your present. This obsession is making me despise you. The final whisper hung heavy between us. His head snapped downward, shoulders trembling. After an eternity of silence, he nodded with glacial slowness, stumbling away without meeting my gaze. The once defiant young man now carried the weight of decades in his stooped posture. Days passed without any sign of Jason. I dared to hope he'd finally moved on until Mrs. Young's hysterical call shattered that illusion a week later. Ivy. He. Sobs swallowed her words before she choked out. He left a suicide note. Just one line, if I could go back, I'd cherish every moment. The funeral unfolded under leaden skies, supporting the devastated Mr. and Mrs. Young. I made my vow, I'll be the daughter you deserve. Jason's lifeless smile in the memorial photo stirred neither love nor hatred in me, only hollow finality. Simon's steady arm anchored me as we left the cemetery. My gaze drifted to the sapling we'd planted as teenagers, now grown into a sturdy tree whispering secrets to the wind. Jason, I murmured to the rustling leaves. The ivy who loved you died in that car crash. Let's never meet again. Jason's epilogue. As Jason, heir to Young Group, I possessed everything except my parents' presence. While other children blew out birthday candles with family, I dined alone with extravagant cakes in empty mansions. My 15th birthday brought unexpected guests, a hollow-eyed girl trailing behind my mother. This is Ivy, father announced. Her parents died. Treat her well. I scoffed. Can't even parent your own child. Yet adopting strays now? Father's rebuke and mother's tired we're building your future excuses faded with their departing luggage. The mansion's crushing silence broke only when I discovered Ivy trembling in the parlor. At first, I monologued to her quiet presence. Gradually, her shy responses filled our empty halls with warmth. We became partners in solitude, sharing meals, secrets, and the unspoken understanding that we'd both been abandoned. This house started to feel like a home because of Ivy. I thought she understood me. So when my father, Mr. Young, declared in that commanding tone, "You must marry Ivy Taylor," the anger I'd suppressed for years erupted instantly. Why? They never participated in my life, yet they dare control my marriage? I hated them, and by extension, hated Ivy, who meekly followed their arrangements. She betrayed our pact. I began lashing out with the cruelest words. Every time I saw that restrained look in her eyes, I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, as if this could somehow punish those irresponsible parents. On our engagement day, I secretly felt a flicker of joy, but seeing my parents' smug smiles, that tiny spark was instantly devoured by rage. No, I couldn't let them win. So I escalated. 3 years pursuing Jessica? All fake. Just to make Ivy suffer. Jessica was never more than a tool for rebellion. In my previous life, When I dragged her into that fatal car crash claiming it was justice for Jessica. That was just an excuse. What I truly couldn't face was my own surrender to parental pressure. And innocent Jessica became my scapegoat. The moment our car plunged off the bridge, I regretted everything. Reborn into this life. I kept pushing Ivy away with even harsher methods. I believed this would both escape my parents' control and prevent Ivy and me from repeating that tragic ending. But when she truly left, this place reverted to being just a house. No more warm lights welcoming me home. No more quiet listener for my thoughts. Staring at our old photo where she smiled leaning against my shoulder. Overwhelming remorse finally consumed me. All along, I'd been hurting the most precious person. But understanding came too late. Studying my haggard reflection in the mirror, I picked up the fruit knife. If only I could start over.